Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in one of my previous videos I mentioned that I'll try and do a proper sort of app with Django and HTMX. So I ended up building this image manipulation tool. And this video is all about problems I had with it, things I had to get over, and my experiences with HTMX in general. Been pretty positive, most of it. I did run into some CSS issues that I haven't fixed yet, but apart from that, really good. The idea, the usual stuff, you can control the UI from the back end, and I'll show you some examples. It's been really good. So let me show you what I've done, and I'll see you there. Hey everyone, so I think in one of my previous videos I mentioned that I would try and build like a proper app with Django and HTMX. Just to see if I run into any issues and things like that. So I kind of built this image manipulation tool. So I've got these services, black and white, and resizing, thumbnail, cropping. So the first three, if you're a Python developer, you probably know that I'm using Pillow. This is a bit more complicated because I had to use the cropping tool, so there's a bit more work involved here. I think I still used Pillow for the cropping, if I'm not mistaken. And I'll come to the removing background in a minute. But like the way the app works is you upload an image, and as you can see, the UI swapped around and there was no page refresh. And now you get the image you uploaded, and you get these what I call service buttons at the top. So if I hit convert to black and white, and you can see again the UI swaps around automatically, and you get this processed image, and when the image is processed you get a download button. All of this stuff is happening with HTMX because HTMX is allowing the backend Django view to return HTML, and I don't have to worry about JSON and all this rubbish. Soon as something happens, I tell you, okay, now go and show this HTML. That's what happens here. And if you've never used HTMX, all it is you make a request and you have a target. You can either target the current div, you can target another div, and so on and so forth. So in this case, when the image gets uploaded and you hit a service button, the button is targeting the image, and therefore it can swap the contents of that image for the processed image, as an example. Again, even with the upload file, all of this stuff you see here is a component called the main component. I have it in my component somewhere. So this main content is what you're seeing here. When a successful image is uploaded, all of this content is getting swapped by the image itself, image content itself. So if I go to add an image, when an image is successfully uploaded, you go to get images. Get images returns what I call an initial image page. So the initial image page meaning you've got your uploaded image with your service buttons, and that's what you see here. And this initial image page has this this bit of HTML, which is that image you see when you first upload, and it puts in all of this stuff. Again, if you've never used HTMX, so before HTMX, a form could make a post request, for example, right? But with HTMX, anything can make a get or a post request. So in this case, the image itself is actually making a get request, and you can see down here, it makes a get request to get all the service buttons. These you don't see it here, but if I upload again, those service button you saw earlier, this image is asking the backend for all the services that you want performed on the image. That's what's happening here. And this get URL is get service buttons, makes a request for get service buttons, which then returns all the service buttons. Now I'm not saying this is the best way to do it, this is how I did it, and each of those buttons also has a URL. So the first one, when you hit convert to black and white, it says makes a request to image service, passes the image service ID. For me, 1 is grayscale. You pass the image ID, so that will then make a request here. And then it calls a Celery job that then runs the grayscale and so on and so forth. And then cropping image will do something else, and depending on the image ID, different things happen. And then yeah, so that's pretty much how the app works in general. Yeah, so like I showed you, a lot of this stuff already work. If I crop it, you see you get the cropping tool now, and then you can sort of do this. If I can move it up. Whoops, that didn't work. Why is that not working? Oh, okay, there we go. If I just did that and apply, and you can see all of the UI swapping constantly. I'm not actually getting any. There you go. And now you got that tool there. Now you got the cropped image, and you can hit again. As soon as a processed image comes through, you get the download button, because I've got a component called processed image. Every time a image is processed, you get a download button, which I believe is this here, and it has the URL automatically. It knows what the URL needs to be, so when you hit download, you will now get that URL, and you can see you just get the face. So pretty cool. Yeah, so that's that. So most of my stuff, I've not had any problems with HTMX, apart from a bit of CSS issues. Nothing really. The other thing I'm also using is a package called Django components. This guy's written a really nice package called Django components. The only reason I know about this because I've seen a Django talk where someone mentioned they were using, a lot of people who use HTMX have started using this. What this does is allows you to kind of have so let's say you have an upload button, you wrap it as a component with the CSS, the HTML, and all of that stuff, and the JavaScript if you have any, into one component. So you have that React kind of approach to building and stuff, which is really cool because you can then reuse those components over and over. Let's say you had an upload button. In this case, I'm uploading an image. That button is this button here is a component. Right now, imagine this is uploading the image, but what if I had a login system? Now I need a user to be able to upload his profile picture. I could still use this upload button. I can just find a way to swap the text around and says, upload. I mean, it can still be upload a file. Maybe it'll be upload image, upload avatar, whatever. That's an example why you would want to reuse a component. So that's what I'm using. I'll put a link in the description if you don't know about it, and it works really well. Pretty cool stuff. Other issues, they weren't HTMX. Sorry, I keep using HTML. I'm sorry. Was I tried to do the removing background myself, so I use a third-party package, but then it really got complicated fast, because not so much because of the package itself, but because it's getting. So I'll show you this in a minute, but I have a working version on deployed. So what was happening is the file would get written to S3. Now I need something to process that file. So I thought, okay, the only other option I've got, I couldn't do it via Celery because I was using a T2 micro, I believe, at that point. And EC2 is very expensive. I mean, it is very expensive for something like this where I don't have any income or anything like that. It becomes very expensive. So then on top of that, to have a Lambda function also doing stuff was just like too much. So anyway, so I started off with a Lambda function. I couldn't use the third-party package because the whole file size of that was over what Lambda was allowing. So then I had to create an EFS, mount EFS to EC2, and the Lambda function worked, but even that was slow. And then you can imagine how expensive a Lambda function is every time you invoke it. And then the Lambda function had to then download the file from S3, process it, re-upload to another bucket, and then the app then swaps the URL for that one. So you can imagine the steps involved. It's just nuts. And it was just becoming too expensive. My bill was about $200, $200 a couple of months ago, and I thought, yeah, I'm not doing it. So anyway, so I ended up just wrapping these around Stability AI. And because of the way I designed it, it actually became very easy. So if I do it again, sorry, and I remove background, give it a second, and there we go. Background has been removed, and now if I download, I've got the image there. Very cool. So that's why I went with Stability AI. And now that I'm using them, I probably will have a lot more services where you can, the usual put in a prompt and it'll give you AI generated image. I did find some weird things with Stability AI. One of their APIs, I think it was Fast Enhance or something. It made my image look like it was a cartoon, which is very weird. So that's the only thing. But I mean, for removing background, it works really well. What else? Yeah, and then I have another, the way the app works, I have a webhook that I need Lambda to tell me when the file has been processed. So that's that. So pretty much that's how it works. Love HTMX. I think it'll be part of my workflow. If I can get, if I'm working for somebody and they say, oh, what's your recommendation, I'll probably go with HTMX. But the only downside for HTMX is there's no UI or anything like that. UI library, sorry. Like say React has Material UI and things like that. You'd have to do all of the CSS yourself, create your components. In this case, I'm using Materialize CSS. So that's the downside. But again, the idea that you could control the UI from the backend, I don't know if I showed you. Did I show you? So for example, if I go back to the whole point of HTMX again was, let's say, you wanted to change these labels or that label there, for example, in your current job or whatever, assuming you're a developer, if you're watching this, you'd have to, get a hold of the front end guy and tell him, go change the label on the component button or something like that, and he's not available and all that rubbish. So with HTMX, that's the whole point of it. If I went back to my view and I said that is gray, instead of white, it should be gray, like so. Not oh god, I can't even spell. Gray. And so now the UI has changed because it's all controlled from the backend. So if I went back and upload again, and now it says gray. That's the whole point of HTMX. And it works really well. I must say, I really love it. So as much as I can, I will try and suggest to people I work with to try and use HTMX because it just makes your life so much easier. So that was me. I mean, I have got a working version online called Image Assistant. I will put that in the docs if you want to try it. I don't allow removing backgrounds and image enhancement because when I say don't allow, you can use it, but you'd have to pay for it. So you'll have to pay via Stripes. If you hit, let's say, enhance, you'd have to pay for it. You can't just use it. So, but the rest of the stuff, everything works. So if I go back and do some of the stuff I was doing, so if I convert to black and white, and you'll see that and this is a deployed version, so that's converting to black and white. It's all saving to S3, and a Lambda function is doing all this stuff. So yeah, all works pretty well. Like I say, a lot more to do with it. I will create a lot more services and fun stuff, but so far the experience has been very good with HTMX. And yeah, so that's it for now. So yeah, so as you saw in that video, pretty full-blown app. And the idea, yeah, again, control the UI from the back end, could make a dev team really productive to just have, developers that can focus on front end and back end at the same time without having to know JavaScript and React and all these complicated frameworks to learn. Not to mention the file sizes when you download. Anyway, all that stuff. It just makes everything much more easier to manage, I think. But like, how many jobs are out there with HTML? I don't think there are a lot until it really starts to pick up. I think the more developers start using it, the more I think it will pick up. But yeah, overall it's been a good experience, and yeah, I'll be putting more content out. I think I'll carry on working on this app because I've now got a working version deployed and things like that, and I'll put a lot more services. So stick around and see what I come up with. Yeah, if you like what you see, give me a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.